Good morning, everyone, and thank you very much for joining us today on a great day for racing here at Indianapolis Motor Speedway. Featured here today on the middle of the desk is reigning NASCAR Xfinity Series champion and the current Xfinity Series points leader, Cole Custer. Besides Cole is Haas Automation Director of Motorsports, Carl Klein, and Haas Factory Team President, Joe Custer. Cole, I guess I need to start off with an apology. When I sent out the media alert earlier this week, it was on Haas Automation letterhead, and I think everyone had to figure out if you were announcing your NASCAR plans or if you were replacing Kevin Magnussen over at Haas F1 team. So the floor is yours. Please clear the air for us.
No, I mean, this is really exciting. I mean, ever since me going back to the Xfinity Series, to get the opportunity back at Cup was, the biggest goal. So to have this opportunity to get to drive for Haas Factory Team next year is huge for me. And I think we can do some really special things with the resources that we have at the team. And we're ready to just get to work and get some great people. And I think we'll be able to compete with the best of them.
And Carl Klein, Haas Automation Director of Motorsports, there's a significant history with Cole representing Haas Automation. Can you shed some light on his tenure with the team and why Gene Haas, the founder and president of Haas Automation, wanted him in, not just his branded race cars, but his race cars at Haas Factory Team?
Yeah, absolutely. Cole's been around Haas Automation and Haas Racing since he was born. I remember back in the day we were living in California, Joe and I, and my brother Troy Klein. We had a race team out there and off-road trucks, Winston West cars, sprint cars, things of that nature. And Joe would bring Cole to the shop every now and then when he's 2 or 3 years old, and we had a bunch of tires hanging out over in the corner over there, sprint car tires, pretty big, and we'd lose him every now and then, and we'd have to go try to find him, and we'd find him trapped in one of those tires hanging out in there. So he's been around the Haas culture for his whole life. He's been around Haas Automation his whole life. He understands what Haas Automation's goals are. And their goal is selling machine tools. They're the largest machine tool manufacturer in the United States already. They've launched HaasTooling.com. There they've sold over 3 million bits and tools to customers already. Cole fits that bill for us. Cole understands what his job is for Haas Automation. Gene has weighted heavily and understands that Cole is a winner. He has won at every level. He's won in the Truck Series, he won in the Xfinity Series, and obviously the champion, Mike has pointed out, Cup Series as well. And so Gene is expecting him to do very well, be very competitive, and believes in him wholeheartedly that he'll be a winner in the Cup Series. So for Haas Automation and Gene, he was the right pick, and we're very happy to have him on board.
And Joe Custer, president of Haas Factory Team. Beyond Cole driving for the team in 2025, you secured some pretty crucial components from the competition side. Tell us a little bit about that as this team gets ready for next year.
Sure, Mike. Yeah, we're excited. So made our announcement that Haas Factory Team was formed, and since that moment, we've been focused on the future. Obviously finishing strong at Stewart Haas, but also putting together the resources necessary to compete for wins in a championship. So I can tell you today we've secured an agreement with RFK as a technical alliance between the two of us, taking all the resources that we bring to the table and combining it with their success and the resources they have. We look forward to RFK and Haas Factory Team competing for wins and championships shoulder to shoulder. So along with Ford as a partner, we're lacking no resource going into next year. People-wise, human capital, I'm happy to say we're well on the way there to putting together the team capable of competing for wins, and we're focused on that, from pit crew to engineering resources to everything related to human capital. We're there for next year and prepared. So we won't have any excuses going into next year. We've got the driver, we've got the team, we've got the relationship, we've got the OEM. We're all set. We will continue to run our Xfinity program at the highest level. We feel like we can go to there's things that we're going to add to the program for next year that will make it even more competitive. We appreciate what NASCAR's doing to make that series thrive, and so we're excited about that as well. My job is to provide the resources necessary for the team to be successful, and we're well on its way.
All right, we'll go ahead and open it up to questions. We have our friends here from IMS with a mic. We'll start with Jim, and then we'll go to Stephen.
Jim Otter, motorsport.com. Congratulations, Cole. One for you and one for Joe. For you, there aren't a lot of drivers who get second opportunities at the top level in NASCAR. I know you've talked before about what some of the things you've learned while you were in your return to the Xfinity Series. What makes this the opportunity that you think will make your stay more permanent?
Well, I think just what you said, going back down to the Xfinity Series and really learning, what I need to do better. And I think one of the biggest things is just how you work with your team because, at the end of the day, every single driver in the Cup Series can probably go out there and go fast. But it's a matter of how you consistently get that speed and how you can work with your team to get the feel that you need in the car consistently. So I think being able to have those skills more polished now, and I think obviously, just like my dad said, I think having the resources to go out there and compete with the best out there. So I think I'm really excited. I think we can do some great things.
And for Joe, you talked about having the resources and the alliance with RFK. Doing this in the next gen model, is it a little easier or maybe less difficult step for a single car operation now than maybe it would have been in the past?
It's quite a bit different for sure. The resources necessary are different. Gene's committed to it. I think the future is more things like, software development, sim, all the a different set of tools in the toolbox. We can check the box on the physical, parts and pieces and capital investment that we've got at Haas Factory Team as far as facilities, et cetera. But we are starting to learn that the approach that we had and successes we enjoyed at Stewart Haas, we're using a different set of tools than the next gen is offering. And so that's candidly, we're leaning on Brad and his group at RFK to add to what our knowledge base is and help us evolve. We're really excited about the leadership Brad's taken at RFK and the group they've got, and we're a fit. We've had a number of meetings, and we're aligned. Strategically, they feel, and we feel there's resources that we can offer that can make their program stronger, and vice versa. So, yep, that's where we're at.
Stephen.
Stephen Toronto, CBS Sports. I have two questions. The first one is, can any of you walk me through the process of, from the time you guys announced that you would be forming Haas Factory Team to compete in Cup, what the driver search was like? Was it pretty cut and dry that it was going to be Cole in the car, or did you have any other conversations, or what was that like?
Carl?
Joe, I
take
can.
that.
Yes, it wasn't cut and dry. There was a lot of drivers put on the list, and quite frankly, Gene didn't make the decision to probably not very long ago, and he apologized for not being here. He's in Europe on business, but it wasn't cut and dry. It was pros and cons and drivers and who would represent Haas Automation and their growth with their product and their new company, HaasTooling.com. So there was a lot that went into it, and it was a couple of months of trying to figure that out. But at the end of the day, Cole's pedigree, if you will, from winning, and Gene wants to compete, and he expects the team to be put in place, to put Cole in place to win races. That is the goal. And for, our job, or Joe's job, is to build that team and get those people in place to make Cole competitive. And at that point, it's Cole's job to get the job done. And Gene wholeheartedly believes that he can do that. And he has proven he can do that. Xfinity champion. He's won everything he's driven. So we don't expect anything different from that side. But it wasn't cut and dry for sure.
Okay. And then, Joe, you mentioned the Xfinity Series program. Obviously, with Cole going to Cup next year, Riley Herbst haven't announced anything yet. What have you initiated any conversations on who's going to drive for the Xfinity teams next year, or where does that stand?
Thank you. Yeah, we have. Riley, we would love for him to come back, and we've made him an offer to do so, but they're looking at the whole sport. So I'm pretty excited about our Xfinity program. I'm going to brag on it a little bit. We started a few years ago, naturally, and Kevin Harvick And Cole, that first year helped us build it, and Richard Boswell and Jabo, and there's a number of people that were instrumental. But when you look at what it's produced, 3 people, maybe 4 in the Cup Series. I'm not sure statistically since we started that there's a more successful program that's delivered more drivers to the Cup Series. And that's resulted in no lack of interest in our cars next year. Candidly, there was concern about stability, and are we going to be here at the same level as Stewart Haas operated? And I can tell you we are, at if not a higher level. Ford's a big supporter of the program, the Xfinity program, and there was no lack of interest in drivers. So we're pretty excited about, we're getting close to announcing where we're at on drivers for Xfinity. And I think you'll see that we intend to run for the same goals this year, put our both drivers into the Final Four and compete for the championship in Phoenix, both this year and next year and the year after. And we're focused on the CW relationship, a 7-year program. We started that a year ago when the CW was announced, that whole program, and we're building parts and pieces, working with NASCAR to find efficiencies so that we can compete at the highest level with our 8 teams, our 2 cars, and our technical partners. We're super thrilled with what the 39 car has done this year, and that's also driven interest in our program, because that's a family-run operation out of Georgia that has had a chance to win week in and week out. And we're very excited that Rod Sieg has believed in our program and has looked to the future. So that's driving interest, that there's more to it than just our 2 drivers that are killing it. There's also the resources behind the program. So we're pretty excited about Xfinity, you can tell. If you
Thank you, guys.
You're right, Cole. Thank you.
We'll go to Bob, then Jordan and Lee.
Bob Parker's Fox Sports. Cole, have you had any discussions with Brad or anything about maybe running any of their Cup cars this year, or any other additional Cup races just to prepare for next year?
I haven't. Obviously, that's not a bad idea, but at the moment, no. Nothing for sure on any of that.
And for Joe, as far as the alliance with RFK, will you all still be assembling your own cars? Like, will this be like your Hendrick relationship that you had early on, or more or less? Or can you kind of give us maybe a little bit of perspective on it? Thank you.
there's elements similar but we don't manufacture as much anymore naturally. So we're working more towards with them on again, it's open book, 100%, and we're focused on software, sim, things of that nature with those folks for next year. There's already a relationship on the aero side, but what we plan on bringing to the table is some of the systems and dynos and things like that nature, the capital investment items that we have at our shop. And they're looking at some of the human capital and engineering resources from them. So it's a little different than the Henrik model, but the willingness and the open book is there. And again, Brad's really stepped up, and we're excited about that relationship.
Jordan?
Jordan Bianchi, The Athletic. A question for Cole, then Joe. Cole, returning to the Cup Series a second time, what did you learn from your first go-round in the Cup Series that you can now apply and maybe you're a little bit better on the second round?
Well, I think at the end of the day, it's as competitive as it's ever been. You see 30 guys out there that can probably legitimately go win any given weekend. So you have to be very smart about how you navigate a weekend and through a season, because there's going to be times where you're not where you want to be, and you have to lead your team in the right direction. So it's a very tough level right now, and I think having that experience of knowing how to get back on track, knowing what to really look for, and how to fix your problems, because at the end of the day, there's very few weekends that go perfect. So if you can figure out how to fix your problems and fix them better than other teams, you're going to be finding yourself at the front.
And then Joe, SHR has 4 charters. They're selling 3. We know that the car number is 41, but I'm curious what charter is Haas keeping then that's going to apply to the 41 car?
The 41.
It'll be the 41 all around?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
All right, we'll go Lee, then Kelly, and then over here onto this side.
Lee Spencer, Sirius XM NASCAR Radio and Catchfence.com. First of all, congratulations, Cole. Happy for you. Joe, how important was this relationship with Ford and RFK? Because there had been a lot of, I guess, machinations behind the scenes that, that kept changing by the hour. And also, are you going to keep the entire Haas campus intact at this point?
Yes to the Haas campus. So there won't be any resource that's not retained, on the property. Naturally, some cars by rule, and some haulers will go away, but the rest of all the infrastructure, all the IP, everything, servers, data, let alone the equipment, is all retained. So, yeah, as far as the relationship with RFK, we looked at several, candidly, different ways to go. Just candidly, like Carl said, we looked at different drivers because Gene has no intention of being part of something that's not successful or isn't pointed towards success. He's built a company and over the years that takes time. He understands that, but he wants to see improvement and people held accountable. So I think we've got that culture right now. I think we've had it in the Xfinity program, and I think we're focused on that same culture in the Cup program. So, and RFK has that same program. I was impressed with how Brad started that. It didn't go well at the start with RFK, but you didn't see wholesale, firing crew chiefs and thrashing and unstable. He held the tiller, firm, and now look at what they're doing, and that impressed me candidly, because like Cole's it's not easy. This stuff is easy to start blaming and pointing fingers. You better dig deep, and you better be willing to be part of the solution and not pointing fingers, or this deal goes south pretty quick. And we've been able to do that in the Xfinity program, and we're headed towards that with the Cup program for next year.
Okay, Kelly.
Kelly Crandall, Racer.com. Cole, similar question to what some others have asked, but the Cole Custer from 2020 who went to the Cup Series to the Cole Custer that's going to go back in 2025, how would you describe yourself as a driver and a person through that time period of, as I said, now going from then to what you'll be next year?
I just probably definitely matured a lot, being able to, I've always been the quieter guy, but I think that was kind of where I needed to grow a little bit is, how you work with your people and how you get the car, how you need it every weekend. And I think working on that was a big thing. And, obviously now having a wife and a kid on the way, it's everything's calmed down a little bit. Not that I was crazy before, I don't think, but it's, just a little bit more solidified of who I am and, what we're looking for and what I need to look for also in the sport and in the cars.
And we'll go to the gentleman in the black shirt, and then Dustin.
Steven Stump, Frenchers.com. This one's for Cole and Joe. Cole, with you having, with you driving both the 0-0 and 41 extensively with Haas, was there a difficult decision in trying to choose one number over the other for the Cup team?
At the end of the day, for me, I'll drive whatever number it is. Obviously had a lot of success in the 0-0, but we won a Cup race in the 41, so it's up to Gene and whoever wants. It doesn't matter to me.
I can tell you that Gene picked the 41. He wanted to stay with the 41, and there's a lot of equity for Haas Automation and their distributors and his company in the 41. So,
Dustin.
Dustin Long, NBC Sports. Joe, as you referenced, a lot of success with the Xfinity program and brought up a lot of young drivers. Ford probably doesn't have as robust of a development program compared to the other OEMs. With your Xfinity program, is that what you're looking at? I know you talk about wanting to be in the championship, next year and beyond in success, but are you guys are you setting up as another more of a development program in the Xfinity?
Well, I would argue Ford does have. I know that's a common thing, but again, look at the facts. We've put a lot of drivers into the Cup Series, and I think the definition, in my mind, the definition of a successful development program is, is Ford part of putting Cup drivers, new drivers into the Cup Series? And if you look at the facts, I think we've been successful at that. So yes, we want to continue. Now, the situation with us at Haas Factory Team is we have to win, like at that level. So we are willing to look at all options as far as drivers go. Maybe somebody that's already in the sport, maybe somebody that's a Cup driver that comes down, or because we got to put cars in the winner's circle, we've got to sort out our equipment, because our business model is reliant on having technical partners to keep the program healthy. And so if we don't win, and if we are not a leader at the track, then our other teammates, the Siegs, et cetera, they find it hard to believe that we can deliver the kind of data and leadership that's necessary for them. So it's a different model, So I could see, candidly, not see, but part of our game plan is for drivers to come in to those teams as well as ours, and whether they go from theirs to ours, maybe not. All options are open, but we envision 8 successful Xfinity teams showing up to every race next year and the year after, with a high level of competency and the ability to win. If you look at the statistics, and it's been almost 10 years since a non-Cup team won. Yes, you can argue at certain tracks, Daytona or Talladega after a Wreckfest, but I look back to Kurt Busch winning with KBM as, to me, the last time a non-affiliated team won an Xfinity race. And I don't think that's in CW's best interest. I think it's in the best interest if there's more winners in the mid-pack, and we're trying to be part of that solution in offering resources and whatnot for folks like the Siegs to compete for wins. I think that's compelling.
And also, Joe, among the drivers that potentially could be available for you on the Xfinity Series would be somebody like Haley Deegan. Now, she does not have the success, but you just talked about the CW and promotion and marketing, things like that. Is she somebody that is a candidate or somebody that could fit into a role with what you're trying to do? Because it seems like there's some things there that would fit well.
Yeah. Yes, we've spoken with her. Obviously, she was with one of our technical partners, so that's a challenge, right? To see what the future is with her. We believe there's more in her, and we want to be part of that. But that's for future conversations. I've challenged Cole with being a leader, and we need leaders in the Xfinity Series. And he may not want to hear it, but I've told him before, the proudest day I would have is if he shoved one of our technical partners across the finish line. I think that's what differs our program from other Xfinity teams. You see them wrecking each other and having drama within their camp, and et cetera. We're not part of that. We don't tolerate that. We know it happens, but we have, we hold our drivers and our teams accountable for our group, and we want to be, have a leader that can do that. And I think he's done a decent job at that, but you still need to shove somebody across the finish line. So.
All right, we'll go over here to kickingthetires.net.
Justin Schuler, Kicking the Tires. Cole, congratulations. I guess Pocono's win, if you don't know, was the 100th win in the Xfinity Series for NASCAR Next alumni. So what has that program meant to you? I know it's so long ago now, but what did that program mean to you back then, and what has it meant to you now with this big announcement of your return to the Cup Series?
Yeah, that was a really cool program. Obviously, I don't think they have anything like it right now. It doesn't seem like, but it's, there's a lot of guys that were in that deal. Even Brandon McReynolds, I was, teammates with him over there, and he's standing over there. But he, works at a high level in the sport now. And, it's cool to see people that you've been around for, that was 10 years ago, and, seeing how that's progressed and seeing those same guys have success. So, it's really cool that program was around and just gave people something to strive for, I think, too, when you're a younger guy, to be a part of that program.
Jim, why don't you take us home here?
Jim again for Joe. We've asked Cole this multiple different ways, but and you just touched on it a moment ago. But what have you seen in him? I know you have a bit of a biased view, but from his first stint in Cup to where he is today, how would you describe that transformation?
Yeah, it's tough on me, or tough on us because of the conflict. But probably the biggest thing is leadership and understanding how to hold himself and the team accountable. I think he's done a good job of that in the Xfinity program. We didn't have, he's been on record. We didn't start out the way we wanted. We thought we'd maybe have double-digit wins last year, and we didn't. And so what are you going to do about it, right? What are you going to do about it? And so he held himself accountable, and he worked with his team, and he worked with himself. And I think that's the next step that we've looked for, is the leadership piece of it, and that's coming along. He's done a great job with our technical partners, working with their drivers, and whether it's tire fitting and doing stuff for the simulator, they're showing up early when they're not there to get the simulator sorted. So when they show up, the thing's badass and competitive. And so it's things like that is, I think he's grown and accepted the challenge of how can he make himself better. And as a single car team, there's going to be elements of it that are a challenge. But Barney Visser didn't do so bad, with that challenge. And I know where RFK stands as a partner. So I think he's going to be asked to be a leader, but also fit in with the RFK folks and help get every ounce of speed we can out of that program into his car and be held accountable for that. And we have to be held accountable as well on the team side. So that's where we're at.
All right. Thank you, everyone. We certainly appreciate your time.
Thank you.